Hello, this is Mitch Ratcliffe. Welcome to another episode of Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear Innovator Interviews. And today we're joined by Jean-Louis Kamand, who is the founder and CEO of Moses Filter, which is a really interesting alternative to the drain tops that you, sewage drain system tops, the grates that you ride over on the on your bicycle, wondering if you're going to fall in and kill yourself. Replacing those with a filter that actually captures all the crud that is running into our sewage systems to keep it out of the ocean and out of our water supply. Now, just a couple of background points before we start. There are 120 million cigarette butts flowing into the oceans via our storm drains. And there's a picture that we will share in the posting that goes with the video, or with this podcast, of a lobster cross-section who has eaten an unfortunate number of cigarettes. And this is genuinely sickening and sad. We need to be much more diligent about what we put into the ocean. More than 1 million seabirds are killed by ocean pollution each year, and more than 100 million marine animals die due to plastic debris in the ocean as well. So, Jean-Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Mitch.
Describe the Moses Filter to us first. It's a storm drain grate, but it's not.
That's right. So Moses Filter, made of biodegradable, well, we hope to be made of biodegradable material, with the ability to be made of recyclable plastic. It's a catch basin filtration system that aims to be inserted within the current grate system that we have now. The inspiration behind that was to work from a proactive standpoint of capturing or reducing debris that actually enters our ocean through a catch basin. So, like I said, it's a removable catch basin filter that aims to reduce debris, but also that enables local individuals, homeowners, or regular patrons to service their local catch basin.
Now, that's an interesting question, and we'll get to this later, but as we decentralize the economy more and more, it seems like people are being asked to step up and do some of these things for themselves, or at least in partnership with their local government in such a way that the government pays for material like this, and then they put it to use and manage their local wastewater. Now, to describe this, it's a plastic grate with filters hanging under each of the slots in the grate. So it can catch what? Can it catch everything that flows through, or is there a limit on the size of the material that can flow through?
Well, that's a really great question. So initially, our first motivation when we started this, what the driving force towards this initiative was just doing research, the amount of cigarette butts that actually end in our ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And along with urbanization, population growth, and human activity, what's happening is cigarette butts are being disposed, or microplastic, mm-hmm. Food wrappers such as debris, and wind and water are the number one carrier that carries the debris to the catch basin. So mm-hmm. just gotta go back to my initial point. What the initial stress was: is there any way we can reduce? Mm-hmm. So the inspiration was cigarette butt. Through research and as the design phase continued to grow, then we really realized that you can strip it all the way to the bare minimum of microplastic particles, which mm-hmm. measure 5 millimeters less in diameter. So that was another issue. So to answer your question, we have the ability to capture solid waste, or even to the point where we can strip it down to the point we hope we can do testing to capture microplastic particles that enter our oceans.
That's fantastic. Now, you are based in Vancouver, British Columbia, and how long have you been working on this project?
Right. I mean, if you factor in all the way back from the conceptualization stage, you're looking through trial and error and mm-hmm. design, you're looking at a good 7 to 8 years.
And so what was your background that you would look at the storm grates and think, wow, I have a solution to this?
Well, you would think I'll have an engineering background, which is quite the opposite. I'm actually a sociology major. However, that's also a very interesting question, because being a sociology major, in hindsight, looking back, was always the stress on doing research and finding credible sources to support mm-hmm. your arguments on a particular topic or paper. And it's funny how years later, my education actually came back to benefit me, where I'm doing research. So finding out the problem initially, then going into deeper investigation of research and just finding out how catastrophic these wastes are in our ecosystem, how they affect our marine life, and ultimately how they affect us as human beings through the marine mammals that we consume and also our drinking water.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just, like I said, the lump of time by researching and just finding out. More so, you would think one would become excited to do such a project or pursue it. It also came with tremendous amount of sadness, just realizing how much our human activities affecting the environment. Even you just provided some data not too long ago. So it's been a process, definitely.
And so how would you describe your progress to date? Where are you, and is this something that is still in the developmental stage, or are you getting ready to roll it out in a couple of cities to try it out?
Yeah, that's correct. So we're currently in discussion. We're actually currently working with a few municipalities down here in British Columbia, Canada. We're at the stage of implementation and also testing. And just a bit more about the testing was, it's not necessarily testing if the product could work. Mm-hmm. It's also testing to see how much debris we can actually reduce. Mm-hmm. Our inspiration then is to take that quantitative data, do a data analysis, then go back and work with the municipalities. And what we believe the first step that we must do, and I'm sure this relates to your work that you do within the sustainability world, is after we capture the data analysis, is to go back to the municipalities and create a social discourse campaign. Mm-hmm. Just because if you're going to solve any issue, people have to be educated. Right. So our goal is, once we have that data, is to inform people, hey, humans, this is what's happening. This is what's going on in our water. Lobsters are consuming these cigarette butts. And the first initial step would be to tap into the grassroots level to see if we can minimize the ill human effect. Mm-hmm. Then through that, what our hope is, after we create the social awareness campaign, is to then roll out the product to market.
So let's also talk about the human benefit to this. You cite on your site the fact that the number one cause of accidents in British Columbia is hydroplaning. In other words, water backs up, cars drive through it, lose traction, skid out of control, and people either get hurt or there's damage to their cars. Right. So in addition to preventing all this stuff from flowing into the environment, as the Moses filters are serviced, we also should see a reduction in hydroplaning and flooding in the streets, which could also run into people's homes. There are a lot of reasons to think differently about the infrastructure of the storm drain at this point in time. But the question comes back, and I asked you this before we did the interview too, who's going to do the day-to-day replacement of these filters? And there are a couple of questions that follow from that. But let's talk first about, do you expect cities to start to hire people to do this kind of work, or create some sort of an incentive program that could get a neighborhood involved in managing their own storm drains?
Yeah, that's a really, really great question. So we didn't want to step out of line to try to create way too many resources that already exist. So what I mean by that is to investigate to see what sort of resources the municipality have and working in conjunction with what they have. So many cities around North America have adopted the initiative, adopt a catch basin, or adopt a local sewer catch basin outside your home. Mm-hmm. What those initiatives entail is to encourage homeowners or local patrons to service the local catch basin to decrease flooding. Leaves actually clog up the grading system. Mm-hmm. Or also debris from going in. So our next approach to that after the testing phase is to get in contact with municipalities and see if we can do a dual initiative where the adopt catch a basin participant can actually work with Moses, and through that will enable us to acquire greater quantitative data in order to justify our work.
So now let's talk about the replacement process. What happens when you are replacing one of these filters? Obviously, the old storm drains are so heavy you can barely even lift the grate. You just lift right up. What happens to them?
Right. So the average grate in North America, the average storm drain grate weighs anywhere 190 to 150 pounds. Mm-hmm. So initially, when we first started this project, or this product, was how can we make a product that was so accessible that we can enable essentially everyone to use it. Mm-hmm. Although that came with its challenges along the way, but what we stumbled was we can actually utilize the space that's already there. So since it will be made of recyclable plastic material, it will be light in weight. And since the filter itself filters out water itself, so you're not factoring in waterway, you're just factoring in the caught debris. So it's essentially think about it as a garbage bag for a local sewer, for a local storm drain. However, that plastic bag enables anyone to replace it or insert it.
Okay, so that's really, I mean, that's an interesting metaphor. Now, but that also suggests that each of these filters will end up biodegrading somewhere. Is there a way to reduce even that by having a cleaning service that could clean the filters out?
Right, that's a great question. That was actually one of our main, the role that we're going on. However, a health and safety issue came up where if individuals are servicing these catch basins, okay, so let's consider this, Mitch. In the last several years, we've seen an increase of opioid crisis in North America.
Yep.
So what researchers and scientists are also finding out today is there is actually used needles that are ending up in our storm drain and obviously eventually into our marine ecosystem. So,
well, and in fact, just the other day on one of our podcasts, we were talking as a group, our Earth911 team, and one of our staff said, I saw a needle and I didn't know what to do with it. My kids were with me. I kicked it into the off the curb and into the storm drain.
Right. So that's what's happening. So just in extension to that previous point, from a health and safety aspect of it, is we wanted to decrease the likelihood of people getting pickled or poked by potential harmful debris.
And so how many times a year do you think that one of these will need to be changed in a typical neighborhood?
Right, that's a great question. So we've been in discussion with municipalities, and there have been a few options on the table, which I think we might be leaning to. The one aspect of it is there will be more likelihood that one would be servicing it a lot more during the rainy season. That's one aspect of it. Also, the flip side of that is it will probably be lesser used during the summertime because we don't have a lot of rain. So what we're proposing, and we're working with municipality, is how about if we can make it a bylaw where around each construction or demolition site, there will be a Moses filter inserted in a drain, just because of the amount of pollution that's created through construction. The next idea or the next proposal to that too is also potentially looking into inserting it around festivals that take place around municipalities.
It never had occurred to me that you could use these as temporary solutions and then go back to the storm drain when it wasn't necessary.
Exactly. So the options are endless. We can rather work with Mother Nature. We use this seasonally where we get a lot of rain and a lot of leaf falling. We could use it less in the summertime because there's less rain. However, there might be more hazardous waste such as cigarette butts and needles because individuals are outside a lot longer during the summer months.
Right. Now, this is also something that you've been working with cities on the Greenest City 2020 action plan. Can you tell us a little about how that is evolving and how did you get involved?
Right. That's a great point. The Greenest City 2020 plan is actually a British Columbia initiative that the hope was for British Columbia, specifically Vancouver, to become the greenest city in North America by 2020. In conjunction to how the timing worked out, that was actually one of our proposals, as this could potentially be a product that helps us propel us to get to that goal with addressing the cigarette butts, as we mentioned. If I may just add one more thing, Mitch. The number one litter item in the world, as we mentioned, is cigarette butts. Now, that's 1A. 1B is plastic, and we know how catastrophic that is.
Right.
So the wisdom or the inspiration behind Moses filter being made out of recyclable plastic was, if the aim is to capture cigarette butts that enter our drain, why don't we use a product that's made of recyclable plastic? So therefore, essentially, we're attacking problem one and problem two simultaneously, one-on-one.
Right.
So that's essentially where the wisdom of it being made of recyclable plastic came from. If we can tap it through the one.
Oh, that makes sense. What you're talking about is a very flexible way of thinking about something that's been very fixed in our environment, and it's interesting, and it's a challenge to think about because we're so used to just walking past these things and knowing you can't lift them. Now, so what's next for you? You have a couple of these discussions going on and some trials. Is this the kind of thing that you would put on Kickstarter or Indiegogo to get people to fund, or are you looking primarily at government funding as the source of your revenue?
Right, that's a great question. Before anything, we're very keen on working with the government, and just because it'll be their relations that we need, it'll be their approval that we need,
and their infrastructure.
Exactly, their infrastructure that will require. It is through that, if we do need the need of resources, there's other options we can reach out. However, more so, we're interested in with the municipalities because A, we're speaking the language, and two, this is a solution that we all need, not just they. So, and we just feel we're very confident this is a solution into us reducing the amount that's going in our drain. And it is very important that we stress, Mitch, we're not solving anything at all. It's going to take a global consciousness effort for us to even make a dent in solving. However, it's just really important that we stress that this is just our contribution into reducing the amount that goes in.
And they add up, and it's important that you're doing that. So congratulations. And this is a great story. So first off, everybody go check out mosesfilter.com. You can follow the company's progress there. Their slogan, by the way, is parting debris from the sea. I love. Jean-Paul Kamand, founder and CEO, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Mitch, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Oh, and one last thing. I forgot to answer your question where the part in the debris came from. Obviously, Moses is it's a reference to the biblical character Moses who parted the Red Sea.
I was going to ask, and I forgot to. Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
So our mission statement is we're Moses Filter. We're departing debris from the sea.
I like it. Now that is genuinely clever. Thank you. I'm glad that you reminded me because that was a question. It's an interesting name too. Well, Jean-Paul, thanks for joining the show. This is Earth 911 Sustainability in Your Ears Innovator Interview, and I'm Mitch Ratcliffe. We'll be back with another interview soon. Stay tuned, folks, and have a great day.
Thank you.